Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call the meeting to order, and Mr. Seifert, if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Here.
Mrs. Sweet?
Here.
Mr. Bear?
Here.
Mr. Whitaker?
Here.
Mr. Avery?
Here.
Mr. Hannah?
Here. With council having a quorum tonight, I'll ask you to stand and pledge allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and as I normally will do, Mayor Howard is out of town this evening, and according to the Village of Enon Rules of Council and the Ohio Revised Code, if the mayor is absent, the president of council or president pro temp becomes the presiding official. Therefore, as president of council, I'll be acting on behalf of Mayor Howard this evening. So with that, do we have any additions to the agenda or communications items before we start?
I don't have something under committee report, sir.
Okay. I'm not aware of any communication items, anything whatsoever. Okay. If we can review the minutes from, let me see,
May 24th.
May 24th, and if they're acceptable, I'll entertain a motion to move on those in a second, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of May 24th.
I'll second.
Okay. Mr. Seifert, if you call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes. Okay, thank you. With that, we also have the financial report for this evening. And what I will do is ask for you to review that. If there's any questions, we'll address that, but otherwise I'll entertain a motion as well for the financial report and the bank reconciliation that ends with May 31st of this year.
I'll move that we accept the bank reconciliation as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Seifert?
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes. Thank you. And with that dispensed of, Kevin, if you want to go ahead with your administrative report?
All right. Thank you, Mr. President, council, residents. The first item, the mayor's court report for the month of May. There was 12 traffic cases. Total funds received for the current month, $2,204. Year-to-date, $10,802. Total remitted to the state this month, $260. Year-to-date, $1,747.50. Total remitted to the village this month, $1,935. Year-to-date, $8,987. Total dispersed, $2,204. Year-to-date, $10,802.
Okay. And we need a motion on this evening, Kevin?
Yeah.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And if you'll call the roll, please.
Mr. Babcock?
Yes.
Mrs. Sweet?
Yes.
Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Whitaker?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Mr. Hannah?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Item number 2, repaving quote. I've got the repaving quotes back from the county. There was a little mix-up on their end. Reason why we didn't get them back for so long, but anyhow, they came back in quite high. I don't foresee us doing what I turned in. We'll do part of that ourselves. I'm in the process of getting quotes for that right now, but Countryside came in at, doing the whole countryside from Skyline down to the Mound, came in at $56,000. And then I had him also quote the Sunnybrook cul-de-sac down to Brunswick, and that came in at $51,000. So, and it's just one of those things, the increase of asphalt and is really showing a bad side of everything right now. So, like I said, I'm in the process. I met with Rick Mead to do the two intersections at Skyline and the intersection down here by the Mound. He's getting me a quote on that, and also just the cul-de-sac area out to, I think, like the second driveway, just kind of shorten that project up. So I'm waiting on that. The Sunnybrook cul-de-sac is really bad shape. Really, I don't know if anybody's been down that way, but I think that's one that desperately we need to get done. And if the price comes back within reason, I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll let you know as soon as the price comes in. But it's all the garbage trucks going around there cutting it short, and it's going to have to be dug out and put some bigger rock in the bottom, just kind of rebuild the bedding of it, So as soon as I get those prices, I will let you guys know, and we'll move forward with something like that. Also, when he was in town, I mentioned here a meeting or two ago that about the Nature's Work grant that, naturally the cost of asphalt went up. So he's given me a quote on redoing just what's existing, kind of modifying that project. Not saying that we can't do the rest. The rest might be, with asphalt grindings or something. I'd still like to continue on with it, but it won't be asphalt. So I'm waiting on a quote for that. I'll probably get it probably tomorrow, and as soon as I do, I'll send out an email and let everybody know what's going on with that. So.
You're talking about the walking path that you can
Yes,
park? Okay.
yeah. So, because when I met with him, we went over what he quoted earlier, before, him tearing it out. It's 4 foot wide right now. So to make it handicap accessible, 2 wheelchairs, people passing, it's going to have to be 8 feet wide. So, and that's what I put in for the project. But he's just going to have to kind of re-quote it, and we'll go from there. Then I'll have to write ODNR and to modify the project like they said we could.
So Kevin, when you talk about the other two projects that were 51 and 56,000,
Yes.
what were you expecting the bids to come back for? What was the bid that you would have accepted to do the work?
Well, I mean, Coons was like 21, 22,000, and, I was expecting in the 30s, but it was way over that, so.
So about 35, 40%
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah. Asphalt went up, I think, at least 29 to 30%, so.
The
So-
cul-de-sac on Sunnybrook, is there any way to make it so that it's less torn up with the trucks that turn around?
Well, I'm thinking.
I mean, bigger? Or-
If we go bigger, they're just going to cut it shorter. If we end up paving it, I'm thinking either putting some sort of rocks on the inside, where they can't, because they just keep tearing up the grass. They just keep cutting that shorter. So, but that's something I'll have to look into to see if we can actually do that as well. I don't know.
One thing we got to think about is our snowplows too, is what's going to be simpler for them to make around that
Right.
cul-de-sac. But
Right.
the gentleman who was sitting here this morning or this afternoon with our planning commission meeting lived on Sunnybrook, and he was asking if we had walked out of that after it was partially patched, or what we were doing with the rest of that cul-de-sac. So I explained our cost had basically doubled, and I didn't know if we were going to be actually doing anything further. But
Yeah,
might
like I said,
be-
if the price comes back, I'll definitely relay it on to council as soon as I get it, and I guess get your opinion. But that is one that desperately needs to be repaired. So.
And with the water table down in that area too, I don't know how we're actually going to be able to alleviate some of that, to be honest. You got,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Pothole update, the ones that we had cut out have been filled. We are still continuing with that process of getting potholes and stuff. So if you'd seen any or noticed any, let me know. I mean, because we've cut some, repaired some, so
The intersection?
that's
right
going to
across the
get,
street?
yep, that's
And there's one behind the post office too, on that road.
in
back
the
there,
alley,
in
yes.
the alley.
Those are two that's
That
still
you
on the
got
list.
those
there.
already?
But
Okay,
the,
good.
the intersection, we're kind of going to hopefully time it just right where it'll get done. But we're a timing thing right now. So, but it'll get done definitely before the Apple Butterfest. So, blood drive is June 22nd. You can get online at www.donortime.com if you want to schedule a time to donate blood on June 22nd. Today we had a planning commission meeting to discuss the proposed request to rezone the apartments on South Harrison Street. There was no action taken. The committee requested some more information from the owner and the owner's attorney before any decision can be made on that. So, I told you about the intersections, the trail. We had 3 trees blown over last night in the storm. One in the Enon Park that took out one of the small shelter houses. So that's I just passed the park tonight, and CNS was there grinding the stump out and cleaning everything up. But the shelter house is definitely going to be removed. We did call the insurance company today and started a claim, and so we're going to hopefully follow up through that. And she's going to give us more information on our costs and what's covered and things like that. But we initially thought it got hit by lightning, but we went out there and there was no burnt wood or anything. It was just rotten at the bottom and blew over. So, and then one along the creek up there by Suburban blew over, and then one back by the property line by Suburban in the fence row there. The top fell out of it. So we're going to get those cut up and removed. So
Kevin, are we planning on replacing that shelter house?
I'd like to. Yes, that's my intentions. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do we have that reserved from anybody that, at this point? That
The small ones really didn't. They used them, but the big ones was really it was kind of the small one in the center there that
Right.
really didn't get reserved at all. But I'll double check on that anyhow. But I'd like to replace it with a larger one. We could use a larger one, so we're gonna once we get to that point, I'm gonna price out some shelter kits and see what pricing is. So.
Good.
Other than that, guys are doing a good job working in this heat and making sure they're getting their breaks and drinking a lot of fluids, and they're doing a good job, depending on how hot it has been. So, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Hanna. Evening, council and residents. I've got National Night Out coming up August 2nd there, and we need some funds. Miranda's putting together some events. I know the Bounce House we usually rent. She's got about $1,061 as the cost on that. And I think in the past we've asked anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000, I believe, something like that, to be appropriated. I'll have to double check, but I thought maybe we could appropriate $3,000 for special events or whatever, or that was a fair number. Whatever you guys come up with is fine. To just lock that in so we know what we have to work with. In the past, Speedway Corp has obviously funded quite a bit of the refreshments. We're still in process of trying to get a contact there. The people we used to contact in the past are no longer employed there, and I believe now that most of that's handled out of their office located in Texas. So we're hoping that carries on each year. But I just wanted to ask if we could get $3,000 for that. That would be for any prizes, slides, DJ, or I'm sorry, not prizes, DJ, and then the bounce house and miscellaneous vendors like that we just small cost. I don't see it reaching that, but obviously I wouldn't exceeding that either, nor would we go over it. But
Okay.
or we can look in the past on that. The second item I have is officer recruitment and retention. June 17th, the Attorney General released not the Attorney General, the federal government gave the state of Ohio some more ARPA funding for miscellaneous grants. One is through the EMA, the state EMA, where they use ARPA funds for officer recruitment and retention. Basically, if you if you had shifts that you weren't able to fill or lost officers during the pandemic times, they up to 2 years, they would fund it. I was going through some of the numbers, and I know you and I talked about this the other day when we interviewed one of the applicants we had the other day, but there's really no hard number on how many full-time officers, at least that I can find, that the police department is allowed. And I was always under the impression it was 4, and then I added the other one, the 5th, when I had asked council back in beginning of this year or latter last year. But so when I was talking to the grant person, as their goal was to say yes to everybody, my understanding, and it's an application, not a big grant, but I think I misspoke and told them that we only had 5 full-time spots when in reality, I don't actually think we have a true number on how many full-time officers we have open as far as positions. I know funding-wise, we can only fund so many, but I would like to try to come up with a defined number. That way in the future, for future grants and stuff, we know, that way I know what I'm talking about, rather than just guessing, which I was just guessing on facts, but that I thought. But I haven't found anything. So if anybody's aware of it, if there's a hard number that defines, I know we're allowed up to 10 officers for the workman's comp thing, but again, so at any rate, I did apply. I'm in the process. I filled the grant application out. I asked them to review it. And then the Ohio plan does grant work, which I just found out. And that was a nice resource because they would have helped us write some larger grants, for example, the SRO grant and things in the past that we've struggled to write because we had a grant writer, but they do that for us, and that's who our insurance company is. So I reached out to Mike Hillecamp, and he had one of his staff, Laura. She's reviewed some of the stuff that I sent in. I hope to have that submitted I will have it submitted by the 17th, but I hope that we get approved. From speaking with Greg, the guy in charge, he did tell me it looked like, we would be possibly it looked like if we were approved, it would be 20 hours a week, which would be significant in funding law enforcement for 2 years if the government the state would reimburse us under that grant for 20 hours of funding. So I'm hopeful and optimistic, but we'll see. But I'll submit that. I think that's the starting of the calendar year 2023. I've got a handout on it. But just to give you a brief overlay of how our agencies usually functioned with 5 people working in a full-time status pretty much since I've been here. It's just we've had some part-time officers that have worked full-time hours. Luckily, not all. They haven't stayed here long enough to meet that new minimum hourly rate or week that was implemented back a couple years ago from the federal government separating full-time and part-time. But we have 3 shifts Monday through Friday, and that's a 40-hour work week, and then there are 6 shifts on the weekend, totaling 48 hours. So if you look at it, that's patrolling out there. So that would take 4 patrol people, and then of course I do some administrative stuff and I do patrol. But in the other end of the village employees, we have a total of 6 full-time officers, and that's for a function of a Monday through Friday of 40-hour work week. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. I'm trying to explain to the state when I'm asking for some of these grants that we really are deficient, and that the pandemic did affect us because our applications clearly went down, and then of course because of the job, whatever you want to classify that as, the cost of living and the rate increases, nobody evidently has to work or wants to work. I'm not sure how that is, but I know that a lot of people were starving for employees in police, fire, restaurant, you name it.
So Mike, is that grant dollar limited, or are they refunding salary, benefits, taxes?
Glad you brought that up because I forgot one. They actually have a retention bonus too, which is a 10% of the officer's annual salary based off of 2021 gross earnings. And I did apply for that also. That is in hopes of stopping people from leaving us. The recruitment is based off of whatever you would pay them. Like I know we don't have any hard numbers, but I threw out some figures that I felt was a fair starting rate, and I gave that to them, and they said it's whatever you pay. Whatever you come up with that you're going to pay, we just need that on paper. So I used
But
these.
again, is it just the salary, Mike, or is it the benefits and Social Security and
I believe it covers more than just salary.
Compensation
Don't
package.
quote me on it, but I believe it's a total compensation. But I do have it right here. I can forward it to you, but I don't want to dive through it in front of everybody and take their time. But I believe it was total. About
It's a better deal.
80%. Yeah. So, but they sent a lot of this money out, and they're trying. They, meaning the state and government, they're trying to find people to use it. So I'm trying to do that. But the fact that the Ohio plan helps, obviously, I'm sure they have a fee, but that they assist in grant writing is, especially the large grants that are very difficult and take a lot of research. The fact that they're skilled in that and they write a lot of them, and I know that they do that now. I will seek their services in the future because there are a lot of federal grants out there. So it was really nice to know that they do that. That they were really helpful.
Grant writing's a skill.
Yes, a skill that I do not possess. And then our July 4th parade, as the fire department has a July 4th parade on July 4th, country's birthday at 2 p.m. Yep.
Fourth parade on July 4th.
Yes, that's right. The
Like a
line.
novel idea there.
Isn't it though? That's what I was thinking.
Well, it might be the chief's birthday too. I can't remember. But yeah, the lineup is at 1 p.m. 1300 for everybody else, and start at 2 o'clock. Come out there at Indian Valley to the firehouse, and the chief had sent me out a flyer a while back. They're going to have refreshments there and a little celebration like they normally do. I like going down there and seeing everybody. So hopefully the community comes out to that.
Fireworks on the 3rd? The night of the
Fireworks
3rd?
on the 3rd.
Okay.
Fireworks on the 3rd?
I'm nodding and asking at the same time.
The
I'm
chief
agreeing.
just said 3rd.
3rd. Now, is that at noon? No, kidding. All
Yeah,
right. Miscellaneous communications, I have under that, one, it has been warm out the last couple of days, so just thought I'd point that out in case anybody didn't notice. Those of you who got the email, we have a last day is Angie Kimmel. She's a secretary up there at the front office. Her last day's, I believe, Thursday, not tomorrow, but Thursday. But I just wanted to thank her on behalf of the PD for her professional and courteous and prompt service when she's had to interact with the police department. She's always been very courteous to us, and she had stated that she would help with National Night Out, whatever we need, prior to learning of her leaving. And she has since then said that she will volunteer her services at National Night Out as needed. And I know she had worked one of them prior before the COVID shut us down. And I told her she could probably do the same thing there. But she's going to be in touch with Officer Dunham, and she'll be helping us out with National Night Out, even though she's going to be leaving the employment of the village. So thanks to her and her service and her continued service to the village. And
Kevin, that isn't something I knew. Is she? Was there an announcement to the council, or is she just leaving because she found another job, or just going to
It's
retire?
personal reasons.
Okay.
yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to announce it. I just want to tell her thanks before she left
Yeah, I
Thursday.
forgot.
So
forgot
because
to say
she's
something.
she's it's really nice of somebody to help, like I said, to have her come back and still help us with that.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
so that'd be good. But other than that, I'll field any questions anybody has. That's all I have.
We probably need to have a public safety meeting to also discuss the authorized strength versus what our present ability to provide full-time officers may be.
Yes, sir. If we had like a good term there, if we had an authorized strength, I can tell you that we most likely would have been able to apply for funding for a full-time officer for a couple of years. And I did state that in that because with my research, like I said, I did find that there's no solid number to define that. So hopefully, you never know. I'm optimistic, but again, I just don't know if
That's
that'll
always been a
happen.
very high profile number, so that way you can debate how many people you've lost versus what you're normally authorized, so.
Yeah, and we've never been at, I mean, we haven't had many officers reach top pay, so to speak. The longevity is thin on full-time because we are a very respected agency, and a lot of people will take them after a couple of years. That being said, I know our revenue is building up, and I had an interview Sunday. A great guy did an interview, but You know, he got offered, after he applied with us, an agency offered him full-time, and he had said that he was looking to serve somebody long-term, and that he would have to have full-time to accept a position. But that seems to be what everybody's told me in the last 2 years, roughly, year and a half. And I just think that fortunate we have officers like Officer Tyree, who wants to help out at a part-time basis. I'll take those every time I can get them, but they are slim to none anymore. So,
If I can add a little bit there too, to try to tell somebody to come to work for us on a part-time basis, and we're going to pay them $12 an hour, it's quite a stumbling block in the early process of the interview. So,
yeah.
you know, that'll be nice that we can hopefully move that forward. But
Yeah, from talking to people, I think the entry-level hourly rate, which was 20, which is what I recommended that we start at, and separate, get rid of the whole full-time, part-time. We can talk about that at the latter meetings that involve that, but I think that's fair. And I think with a fair, salary increase periodically and some of the other benefits we talked about, I believe that we'll be able to fill our ranks back up and retain people, at least for a few years. I don't mind people work here a couple years and move somewhere if they don't want to work for our agency of this size. That's not a problem. But in the same token, we need them to advertise and bring people in, and we just need to get back up to the operational strength we was at a few years ago before the pandemic and some of the funding stuff. So, which I think we will. I'm very optimistic on that. So.
And I think we have an open issue about the possibility of a $3,000 stipend to be discussed. Entertain a motion if anybody would want to do that for National Night Out.
What have we done in the past? Because I don't remember ever appropriating money for that myself.
Yeah, I don't remember.
There's a special fund, and this is my first time asking money, so I don't know if I know there was a special fund set aside. It
Yeah.
had to be put in there. If we don't have it, I just remember, I know
I think I
that
saw
Chief
it.
Wilcox always handled that, and
Can we look into that and then do that the next meeting?
absolutely, we have plenty of time.
When it's August.
It's August 2nd, we're good through July. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
I guess I can ask and figure out how we do that too. Maybe I can call my previous, ask him how we got that money.
Mayor Howard may know it too,
Well, yeah.
so we can talk to him as well.
Did you all check with the VFW too? Because it seems like they always helped out.
They
Some
did.
way.
Yes, they did. They cooked all the food. Officer Dunham is handling all that
Okay,
with
good.
a couple of the other officers' assistant and Angie. She's doing a really good job, and I'm trying not to step on her toes.
Yep, okay, good.
And we know historically that Speedway has been able to issue $5,000 checks without much hesitance, but now that's a
That con-
past process with the new owners. So, but thank you, Chief.
Yes.
Committee reports. Ms. Sweet, you wanted to schedule a public service meeting?
I did, yes. Public service meeting. Most of my committee members have stated that they would be available Tuesday, June 21st at 5 p.m. And Kevin, if you would make that a public notice, please.
What day was that? I'm sorry.
21 June, next
Okay.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday, the 21st.
Okay.
What's the
At
item
5
of
p.m.
business?
Compensation for employees.
To discuss that salary study, I
The
believe.
salary study or salary, okay.
Right.
And the public safety, maybe we ought to go ahead and try to schedule that as well.
You know who the members are for that? Public safety.
Let's see.
What time do we
Sorry,
have?
what was the question?
Who's the members for public safety?
Who's on it? Rick chairs it, and David and I are both on it.
On the public safety or public safety?
And Mike, I guess.
Yeah, I just
Sort of-
show up. I don't.
Sort of stands to reason that you'd be there for public safety.
You got something?
Mr. Babcock, are there any bad days for you in particular, or better days for you than normal?
No, not necessarily.
What time's that parade over on the 4th?
No. How about before our 28th meeting, June 28th? Is that workable?
Oh,
Say-
okay.
Say 5:30-ish, just because we may have some additional things to discuss.
Okay.
Okay.
What's the topic on that one?
General public safety, part of it will be authorized strength, equipment, training, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Okay.
What time are you gonna do your meeting on the 21st?
Okay, so that's before our next meeting, we'll be having that. At this point, we have no old business. We have no new business on the schedule. We have no executive sessions. So at this point, we'll entertain comments from the public, if somebody would like to step forward.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
I'm Fire Chief John Heath with the Matador Township. I just, Chief Holler kind of already hit on it, but just wanted to formally invite you to the parade on the at 2 o'clock on the 4th. Line-up's at 1 o'clock at Green and High School, and then we'll have a picnic afterwards at our firehouse.
Okay,
Other than that, that's pretty much it.
would like a spot.
Okay, I'll put you down. Thank you.
Hey, Chief, is it any entertainment?
Not yet.
No?
Working on it.
I mean, you could always call Doyle.
Good.
Please do.
I'm working
so
on
good.
it. We're working on it. Our parade committee just submitted our permit, so we're just kind of working on the 4th of July stuff and obviously the fireworks with the VFW. So we look forward to having you and any citizen that wants to register, and they can go to our Facebook page and register. There's a QR code. They can sign up and come out and enjoy the 4th and celebrate with everybody.
It's nice to see somebody from the fire department over here for one of our meetings.
Well, I'd like to come as much as I can.
See you to March 7th.
I'm right
Thank you. Everybody.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Make a motion.
Any other comments from the public?
Motion to adjourn?
No,
Oh,
no,
no, we got it.
Yeah, oh,
We
and
got
you
it.
have
Chuck-
oh, I didn't
Chuck's on
see
his way
Chuck.
up
Sorry,
here.
Chuck. Sorry, Chuck.
Meeting without Chuck is a
That's
day
true.
without sunshine. Chuck Wozak, Village Venan resident. I want to give tip of the hat to Kevin Seaford, to Jason Rose, to Doug, to the guys that work on the roads. They were all out there on Sunnybrook Trail. A lot of heat, and that blacktop that they were laying down is hot. But I just wanted to tell you that everybody was involved, from the village manager right down through the laborers putting that stuff down. So really appreciate the effort of all of those people. Just wanted you to know that everybody, not just the crew, but leadership was out there.
we appreciate that.
Oh, you
We love to hear the positive comments, and it's always nice to hear nice words.
Well
So,
deserved.
thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
With that, I'll
Motion to
entertain a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
Second.